Hello, I'm Hardmancanada and I can speak with my telepathic powers thanks to my mustache. Today's episode will be about the making of a Hardmancanada episode where I will explain all the steps to create a video. In the second part, it's going to be a question and answer video. It's in French, but the subtitle will be in English. The third part is an audio recording of an interview with me and my best friend. We are going to hear his honest opinion about my videos. That way, we can see the perspective of someone else. It's in French, but it's going to be subtitled in English. This video is an occasion to get to know me better. Step number 1. Writing the script. Because of my dyslexia, I don't write fast and I don't notice any spelling error or grammatical errors, but I must do it. It's the most important step because it will let me know what to film during the shooting and what to record during the gameplay, and this is the script of my 1-hour review of Sonic Mania from last year. Before writing a script, I must have idea, and it often happens when I have dreams. For years, I've been documenting my dreams each morning because, believe it or not, all of my best ideas came from my dreams. For example, one day I had a dream of my top 17 best video games of all time, so I made a video of it. A long time ago, I had a dream about my guardian angel called Dokolokolo, so he appears as an important character in my videos. I had a dream that I was fighting Freddy and Jason, so they appeared as a bad guy in my third movie. Most of the story I create on my videos came from my dreams. In real life, I'm an introvert and I'm very quiet, but my brain is never resting because I'm always thinking because I have a lot of imagination and creativity. By the way, I am not shy. I'm an introvert. Being shy and being an introvert is two different things. But when someone asks me a question about a subject I have a lot of passion about, I will talk a lot. Ideas of my video also come from news about a video game, like a new game that I'm interested in, a new console, a comment I want to do about a game, a review of one of the worst games of my childhood, or being a victim of fraud from GameStop who give me the wrong game in the wrong case. Sometimes one of my fans will make a request for me to make a video. For example, many years ago, someone asked me to make a video of Duke Nukem, so I made it. Over 1 year ago, someone asked me my honest opinion about the Nintendo Switch when it was new, so I made a video of it. Over 6 months ago, someone asked me to be courageous enough to review the game of Shark Tales for Game Boy Advance, and I decided that I will do it one day. Most of my videos are planned months in advance, and I already started working on some of them. For example, in the next 8 months, these are the videos that I'm planning to do, but things doesn't always go according to plan. I'm going to do a video on a video game I love that no one likes, the top 4 favorite special level in Sonic games, Bloodstained for the PS Vita, Street of Rage remake for the PC, a top 10 list of the best finish move phrase, the Super Nintendo Mini review, Puyo Puyo 4, a comparison of 3 trilogy, Ninja Gaiden trilogy, Crash Bandicoot trilogy, and Mortal Kombat trilogy, and how to repair a PS4 auto ejecting CD, and a video about Mega Man 11. In 2019, I will review Shark Tales for the Game Boy Advance. I will also do a 7-episode review of the second worst game I ever played in my life during my childhood, Swamp Thing for the Game Boy. I've been working on that video since 2017. And Predator and Spectre Phantom Ghost that I introduced in episode 8 will be the main villain of that story arc. I finished 70% of the video. In the past, when I work on a very long video, like my first movie, the Puyo Puyo Game Collection, I didn't publish any video for like 7 months because I was working on that video almost every day. The workload of that video was enormous, but I decided to never make that mistake again. From now on, when I'm working on a very long video, I will manage my time and I will also work on my other videos. Another video that I will do in 2019 will be a top 18 hardest Sega Genesis games. Last year, I saw on WatchMojo.com video about the top 10 hardest Sega Genesis game, and I don't agree with their list. It felt like they didn't know what they were talking about. They put Altered Beast in their top 10. Really? I can name over 30 Sega Genesis games way harder than Altered Beast. I will do a better list than that. Since January 2018, I started to replay all the Sega Genesis games from my childhood to refresh my memory, to be ready to make a good list in 2019. Of course, like it's a Hardmancanada video, there is going to be a bad guy that's going to cause me problem, and I'm currently inventing a story for it. Step number 3. Gameplay recording. For old consoles with a standard resolution like the PS1, PS2, Super Nintendo, and the Sega Genesis, I use the Dazzle. My version of the Dazzle is only compatible with Windows XP, and that's the reason I kept my old Windows XP laptop. On Windows 7 and Windows 10, the program always malfunctions even if I install drivers. For modern consoles with HD graphics like the PS3, PS4, and the Nintendo Switch, I use an EasyCap HD recorder. The raw file size is huge, 1 GB for a small 5-minute video. I must plan enough hard drive and external hard drive space as a backup, especially when I record an online tournament that lasts over 1 hour and a half in average. I often record gameplay months in advance. The scripts help me to plan what to record. Sometimes I use the game of Soul Calibur to record a fight scene in episodes that have a story arc. With Soul Calibur character creation and my imagination, it's possible to make a lot of characters that have a humanoid form, but there are limits, so I always try my best. When I record a scene in Soul Calibur, I remove the music to replace it with another one. Then I create or introduce when I create and introduce a character in the universe of Hardmancanada, I rank them in different ranks depending on the power level. F is the weakest, A is the strongest, and S is for exceptionally strong characters. Power levels are based on different abilities. For example, characters like Sonic and Flash, their power level are based on speed. Characters like Tails and Iron Man, their power level are based on their gadgets. Characters like Hulk and Knuckles, their power level is based on their physical strength. Characters like Silver and Mob Psycho, their power level are based on their psychic powers. Characters like Sakura Card Captor and Lionel, their power level is based on magic. Characters like Dokolokolo and Sakura War, their power level is based on their spiritual power. Characters like Blaze and Dalsim, they are based on their fire manipulation. Characters like Elecman and Gunvolt and Golden Mustache, they are based on their ability to control electricity. Characters like Gravity Rush and Gravity Man, their power level is based on their gravity control. Characters like Bigfoot, Yeti Sasquatch, and Aokiji, it's based on their power to control ice. Now, this is how the power level work. At rank F, your strength is comparable to a baby and also comparable to a small animal and insect like rats and ants. In rank E, your strength is comparable to a normal teenager or a weak adult. In rank D, you have the strength of a normal adult. If you are D+, you are an adult that practices sport like an Olympic athlete that have reached the limit of a normal person's power level. In rank C, it's for someone strong enough to beat a strong animal like a lion or a bear. And people in rank C+ can beat a giant animal like an elephant, a giraffe, or a whale. Starting from rank C, you are considered a superhuman. In the world of One Punch Man, you must be at the very minimum rank C to be a superhero. In rank C, you are strong enough to efficiently protect normal people. In rank B, you have the destructive potential to destroy a house. And in rank B+, you can destroy a huge building. In rank A, you have the destructive potential to destroy a neighborhood. And people in rank A+ can destroy a small city, and people in rank AAA can destroy a big city. In rank S, you have the potential to destroy a country. In rank S+, you can destroy a continent, and in rank SSS, you can destroy the world. To put this into analogy for people who are familiar with Digimon have the perfect example. Digimon that are in a rank of baby, they are comparable to rank F. Digimon in a training rank, they are rank E. Rookie Digimon, they are comparable to rank D. Champion Digimon are comparable to rank C. Ultimate Digimon are comparable to rank B. Mega Digimon are comparable to rank A. And Ultra Digimon, like the 4 God Digimon and Apocalypmon, they are rank S. A character can be weak in one aspect but strong in another one. For example, Tornado is rank F in terms of physical strength but rank S in terms of psychic strength. One Punch Man is rank F in terms of psychic strength but rank S in terms of physical strength. The rank of a character is ranked on the strongest aspect. In a direct fight, the character with the highest rank will win, but this isn't always the case. by taking into consideration other aspects like intelligence, teamwork, weakness, battle technique, and status effect, weaker characters can win. The best example is Batman, a superhero with no powers. He managed to defeat a lot of opponents hundreds of times stronger than him, like Clayface, Bane, Solomon Grundy, Superwoman, Darkseid, and Superman. Superheroes with no powers like Green Arrow, Captain America, Daredevil, Iron Man, and War Machine compensate their weakness with their intelligence. Step number 3. Shooting. During the shooting step, I film fight scenes, my reactions, my body language, communication, and my interaction with other characters like Dokolokolo. Sometimes my best friend will help me. By putting a costume of a bad guy, or he will help me with simple things like filming me when I'm walking or throwing an object toward me. Like I add voice during the editing step, there isn't a lot of bloopers. Most of my scenes are focused on body language, and my friends doesn't need to talk that much. Like I am not a shy person and I found myself handsome because of my wonderful mustache, it doesn't bother me to put my face on the internet, but my friends don't want to put their face on YouTube, and I respect that. But it doesn't bother them when they put a mask and film themselves. For example, when they put the costume of Bigfoot, Yeti Sasquatch, or Dokolokolo, it doesn't bother them that I'm filming them. I found the shooting step very important, or else my video will only be the voice of a man talking with gameplay video, and that will be less dynamic. Aside from video games, I have other passions. I like reading DC and Marvel comics. I like reading mangas and watching animes. I love computers, so I became a computer technician. And I love to play soccer, and I like to research on my favorite animal, Bigfoot. I like looking for the truth in this world filled with deceptions, and that's why I like Jesus Christ, because he showed me the way. I like to travel to different countries to go into conventions, and I love riding my bicycle. Sometimes I film the nature around me when I'm riding my bike. By the way, this forest was the forest where I filmed my golden mustache transformation. In my video, I create an effect where I speak with my telepathic power while communicating with my body language. During my first few years of YouTube, a lot of people message me why I did videos that way. The reason is because I'm born with a speech disorder. To be more precise, I'm born with a severe stutter, so speaking with my telepathic power makes my job easier. One of my favorite comedians is Mr. Atkinson, who is known for his character of Mr. Bean. When I was a kid in the 90s, I watched his show. He has the same disability as me. Mr. Bean also has a speech disorder, and that's why in a portion of his career, he played the role of a character who doesn't speak a lot and act with his body language. I adapted Mr. Bean's technique into my own style, the style of someone who speaks with his telepathic power and communicates with body language. The advantage of doing that is that it makes my job a lot easier, and it's easier to make video in both official language of Canada, French and English. So that's why the name of Hardmancanada goes well with me. Because of my speech disorder, it can take me several minutes to say a sentence. For example, during the shooting of the second part, where I answer questions, I had a speech block that lasted over 40 seconds. Avec un commentaire. En général, when that happened, I say a bad word to myself, and that day I said, not now. During the rare case where I make a video where I speak directly in front, I cut part where the stutter is too intense, I cut part where I have long blocks, and I cut part where I have a spasm that's too intense. In 2010, I wrote a list of the top 200 things I hate from people as a stutterer. This is not a scientific book, but it gives people the chance to see things in the perspective of people who have a speech disorder. I had this book for a long time, but I haven't decided what to do with it yet. So far, I only share this with my close friends and some member of the Stuttering Association of Canada. Here's a few examples of the content of my book. Number 1. I hate it when people complete my sentence because I see it as a form of impatience. Number 2. I hate it when people say to me to relax because it doesn't apply to me. People who say that doesn't understand that for someone who have a speech disorder, stuttering have nothing to do with nervousness. Speech blocks, stuttering, and spasms comes randomly no matter what's our emotion and is out of our control. Number 3. I really hate it when people think that stutterers are intellectually inferior. That's false. Our brain processes information differently, and never ever underestimate the intelligence and creativity of a person who stutters. For example, Isaac Newton, Winston Churchill, and Aristotle, they are good examples. And number 4, I hate it when GameStop sold me the wrong game with the wrong game cover. Long-time subscribers know what I'm talking about. I'm not the only one who had a problem with GameStop. Just make a research of GameStop on YouTube and you can see that I'm not the only one who had a problem with them. Step number 4. Voice recording. In this step, I record my voice with a microphone and I use a program called Audacity. I plug the microphone on my computer and start the program and record my voice. I use a studio microphone when I speak to the mic, and I try my best to speak slow and in a clear way so that we understand what I'm saying. I also be careful not to speak too close to the microphone because very often I speak too close to the microphone without realizing. That's a mistake that I always do. By the way, this is the power level list of all the characters that appears in my video over the years. I also do the voice of some characters like Sakura War, Goro, and Dokolokolo. But my throat hurts me when I do the voice of other characters for too long. When I use a high-pitched voice, I sound like a woman, and when I use a low-pitched voice, I'll sound like a man. That's the reason why I choose Goro and Sakura War. By the way, Sakura War's real name is Sakura Shinguji. I call her like that because of my sense of humor. And I did the same thing with other characters. For example, Gravity Rush, her real name is Kat, and Zelda, his real name is Link. I called Link Zelda because when I was a child, I thought the name of the main character was Zelda because it was the title of the game. Step number 5. Video editing. If I did the first 4 steps correctly, it will make my job easier during the video editing step. Here's a few video editing software I used over the years: Windows Movie Maker on Windows XP, AVS Video Editor, Power Director, Sony Vegas Pro, and Adobe Premiere. Windows Movie Maker is the easiest to use, but the functionality are very limited. Adobe Premiere is the most complicated, but it's the best one. During the video editing, I add a lot of elements in the timeline, like sound effect, voice that I recorded, video clip from the shooting, gameplay, video transition, special effect during fight scene, video incorporation with green screen effect, and sometimes I need to create an image to illustrate my explanation, so I use Paint or Photoshop. Depending on the complexity of the scene I'm editing, it can take a long time. For example, it often happens that I spend 5 hours editing one scene and I don't notice the flow of time. My editing skills are not perfect, but I continuously improve. If a random person sees me editing a complex scene, he will not understand what I'm doing. During the editing process, I separate the edit files in many scenes. Once I finish editing one scene, I start the video encoding process so that my computer creates a video file for that clip. This is an example of encoding process of the Sonic Color scene for my Sonic Mania video I made last year. Once I finish encoding all of the clips separately, I start the final encoding process by arranging all the video files that I made into the right order. The final encoding process takes a lot of time if the video is complex. For example, it can take over 5 hours for my PC to encode a complex video in high definition. If you have a powerful PC, it will take less time to encode a video. Sometimes frustrating things happen that delays my work. For example, a bug in the editing software that caused my computer to crash, a graphical glitch that appears once the clip has been finished, the sound of the video that turns off 5 seconds before the end, and worst of all, when GameStop gives me the wrong game in the wrong packet. This is GameStop abbreviation in the stock market. The stock market gave that corporation the abbreviation of GME. That means General Mistake Expert. Think about it for the moment. The stock market gave it that name. Google it and you will see. I am not joking this time. This is worse than I imagined. Wow, I need to be more careful. Like usual, I got distracted and changed the subject. When I separate the editing files into many scenes, it makes my job a lot easier if I'm unfortunate enough to encounter a glitch. A unique thing with me is that I produce videos in French and English, and in some situations it doubles my workload. To make my life easier, when I encode a scene in English, I deactivate the French audio and activate the English audio, and I repeat the process for the French version. Some of my jokes use puns, and some puns only works in one language. So sometimes there is a joke that only appears in one version but not another. On 2008's April Fool Day, I posted a Street Fighter 2 video for the Nintendo Switch, and the intro of that video is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. By the way, it's a good opportunity to remind everyone that I'm a Canadian who is born in Japan. It's a long story. Long story short, when my father was young, he moved to Japan for a few years for a contract for his work, and he met my mother and I was born. I spent a portion of my childhood in Japan, and that's why I love Japanese food, animes, and Japanese video games. When I travel and show my passport, people make a funny reaction. Step number 6. The publication. The publication is a step where I upload my video online. I write a description of my video and choose an image to represent my video and start the uploading process. If the video file is huge, I will leave my PC open the whole night. That way, if everything went well, when I wake up in the morning, the transfer will be finished. My video is separated into different playlists. For example, the playlist of the tournament and the season 2 playlist. When my PSN friend does a tournament of fighting games, they sometimes invite me to record the event to keep an archive of the event. I'm a relatively reliable person. I don't organize the tournament because I record and upload the tournament video, which give me more than enough work. In general, the administrators of the tournament organize the event, and the winner can choose the credit music, and one of the participants chosen by random can choose the intro music. All of this started over 4 years ago with the Aquapaza community that invited me to a tournament, and since that day I'm in a good relationship with them. At that time, no one had any equipment to stream or record the first event of Aquapaza tournament, but it's a good thing that one person who knew me invited me, and it was a good thing that I was a YouTuber with recording equipment. The person who invited me was Cage Nightmare 1 from PSN. He is a fellow Canadian and we are YouTube friends. To tell you the truth, I have a gut feeling that it was meant to happen. It was destiny that I met the Aquapaza community. Sometimes in life there are good things that happen at the right moment, and it can't be a coincidence. There is probably a guardian angel sent by God that influence our actions. Thanks to my YouTube channel, I made friends from all over the world on YouTube and PSN, and I made friends from all over the world with who I get along, like Le Corbac and Jeff the Hero. We did YouTube video together in the past. A long time ago, there was a friend system on YouTube, and that's what I'm talking about when I say a YouTube friend. By the way, I'm the type of person who likes to travel around the world to go to conventions. I enjoy my life to the fullest that way. Like Advantage, I travel to other countries and do things I'm passionate about, and give the opportunity for my friends from other countries to meet me in person, in the flesh and in the mustache, and it also gives me the chance to meet other YouTubers, other friends and game developers. Currently, videos of my main series are in the season 2 playlist. It's in this section where my main audience watches my videos. The other playlists, like the tournaments, are only bonus stuff and not everyone watches them. My French-speaking audience came from French-speaking countries like Canada, France and Belgium. My English-speaking audience came from English-speaking countries like Canada, USA and the United Kingdom. You see, Canada appears twice. My video can be seen around the world, and I'm very aware that In the case of the English and French language, depending on the territory, words, accent, and expressions are different. Canadian and American English are a good example, and the French from Quebec, Canada, and the French from France is another example. I try my best to publish a video of my main series once a month, but it's not always possible to do it. Most of my videos demand a lot of work. In average, it takes me 30 hours to work on one video of my main series. In other words, it takes me 30 hours to complete the 6th step. Video that demands less amount of work can take 10 hours or less, and video that takes a huge amount of work can exceed 50 hours of work. For example, my Sonic Media video from last year took me almost 60 hours to complete within 3 months. My first video, my Pure game collection, where I introduced Bigfoot Yeti Sasquatch, took me over 300 hours of work in 6 intense months of production. Back then, I didn't have a good recording equipment. I was an amateur, but I still tried my best with the limited resources I had. My personal record is my second movie, the top 75 hardest fighting game bosses in history. The production of that video took me over 400 hours of production time in 8 intensive months. For me, it's the best video I ever made, and I will never be able to surpass the content of that movie. The story of the movie is that I'm presenting my list of the top 75 fighting game bosses across 6 different console generations, but Darth Vader and his army came to Earth to kill my movie of RoboCop. A lot of bad guys from that movie returns in later videos, like Remedia from Hardmancanada vs. Helicorback. Unfortunately, YouTube blocked my second movie in the United States. I think I'm going to put a link to download the movie for people who want to see the video. But back then, my video were not in HD, so the quality is not that great. When I'm making a long movie, I separate it into many chapters, and I put a link of each chapters in the description, because it is not reasonable to ask someone to watch a 3-hour movie in one sitting. Watching one chapter per day is a more reasonable way to invite someone to watch one of my very long movie. In the credits of my video, I write the production time of my video. That way everyone can see the amount of work I put on my videos. Since I started producing content for YouTube, I finally understand why it took 2 months for some YouTubers like Angry Video Game Nerd, Joueur du Grenier, and Nostalgic Critic to publish a video. I respect you guys for the amount of work that you put. Now I understand you perfectly why it can take you so long to publish your next episode. Time management is very important, especially for someone like me who is very busy. This is an example of my monthly schedule. From Monday to Friday, I work full time. I work 40 hours per week as a computer technician in a government office. When I was a student, I went to the university during the day and worked part-time during the evening and weekends in a Tim Hortons restaurant to pay my tuition. When I was a student, studying for my exam was more important than working on my YouTube video, so sometimes it took a long time before publishing the next video. When I came back from work, I sometimes exercise to stay healthy, and as a Christian, I go to church. I go to church Thursday night and Sunday afternoon. I learned that we must forgive those who offended us, or else God will not forgive you. For example, we told me that I must forgive GameStop who offended me. Yes, even GameStop deserves to be forgiven, believe it or not. I am born a Roman Catholic Christian, but I changed my religion to become a Protestant Christian who prays in an evangelical church and Baptist church. During my conversion into Protestantism, I had one of the biggest debates in my life with my friends from the Catholic Church. You had no idea of the tension I had. It started many years ago when I noticed contradiction between what God told us to do and the tradition of the Catholic Church. For example, God told us to never modify the Ten Commandments, but the Catholic Church modified the Ten Commandments. God wants us to get baptized when we are adult, once we reach the age of accountability. Jesus got baptized when he was an adult, but the Catholic Church baptized babies who are not accountable for their actions. God wants us to pray directly to him, but the Catholic Church uses mediators. And I also found over 50 other contradictions between what God says and the Catholic Church. So I went to a mission and I asked questions. I asked millions of questions to many priests and many pastors, and in the end I made a decision to become a Protestant Christian who now prays in a Baptist and evangelical churches. Like I'm a believer, some people notice some Christian element in some of my videos. Speaking of religion, one of my favorite series is A Certain Magical Index because they make reference to the corruption in both the religion side and the science side. Two subjects I'm passionate about. An example of corruption in the science side is a story arc is when a scientist paid by the government made a lot of clones of real guns to make a horrible experiment. It was a secret plan of the government. In real life, the cloning of humans is illegal, but in some part of the world, corrupted government exists. An example of corruption on the religion side is the story arc where a religious sister named Ursula, who knew the secret of deciphering a dangerous book, left the Catholic religion to become a Protestant, and sister from the Catholic religion wanted to kill Ursula because of that. This story arc shows the corruption of the religion. In real life, during the Middle Age, people who left the Catholic Church became a Protestant, and Protestants were persecuted by the Catholic. This story arc made me think of my situation. If I lived in the Middle Age, I might have been persecuted. I might have even died by them. Even if the story of A Certain Magical Index is a fiction, it makes me think. See, like usual, I changed subject. My best friend always told me that I have a bad habit I have a tendency to change subject. In conclusion, we must dedicate all of the time to create. You must be dedicated, and you must dedicate all of the time to create a YouTube video. If it was possible, I would publish one video per week, but I'm too busy and that's not possible in my case. So in a way, I'm a part-time YouTuber. Thank you everyone for listening to me. The next part will be a question and answer video. It's in French, but it will be subtitled in English. Bye everyone, see you next time.